There have been 38 mass shootings in the United States in 2019, as well as countless additional shootings that never make national headlines. With gun violence clearly being an expanding issue, why not look at the capabilities of GIS in creating comprehensive gun reform, establishing location-based tracking of manufactured and sold firearms, and then making this data available to law enforcement has the potential to reduce and potentially prevent this type of violence in the future. Many would use this fellowship to expand upon existing projects and research, but I would use this fellowship to begin a new set of collaborations with local law enforcement agencies and communities that already have the need and want for this type of data. Now, this topic does have the tendency to rapidly turn political, but if you dive in a little further, not only does it have such practical applications, it actually brings up significant ethical implications as well, one of which is whether or not state and local police should have access to certain types of location data. Since last June, police access to location services has been severely restricted after the Supreme Court's ruling that the police must obtain a search warrant to access an individual's cell phone location info. Chief Justice John Roberts' majority opinion cited the court's concern for citizens' privacy being preserved, but also noted that this ruling doesn't necessarily prevent police from obtaining location records without a warrant in emergency situations. So how does the court's ruling on cell phone location info translate to the tracking of firearms? As of right now, the ATF is the only organization authorized to trace U.S. and foreign manufactured firearms. They're able to track the movement of firearms recovered by law enforcement officials from the first sale by the manufacturer-importer through to the first retail purchaser. Thankfully, that means that some version of this data is already compiled, but it also means that one, any sale made from the original owner won't necessarily be tracked through to a secondhand sale, and two, this information is only currently available to government agencies. So then another ethical dilemma comes to mind. This tool would obviously be highly applicable in areas with high rates of shootings, which frequently occur in inner city areas. So would this tool then be publicly viewed as a helpful way to cut down on shootings, or thought of as enabling racial profiling? Looking at the statistics of cities with the highest levels of gun violence, each of these cities also has a heavily African American population. Especially with police brutality against African American communities occurring so frequently, would these populations support their location data being readily available to law enforcement? With gun violence being a growing issue, it makes sense to look at the applications of GIS in solving this nationwide issue. And I would be excited to use this fellowship to create localized GIS prototypes for specific communities and combating the ethical challenges presented by this type of work.